Cyrano is a 2021 musical romantic drama film directed by Joe Wright and with a screenplay by Erica Schmidt, based on Schmidt's 2018 stage musical of the same name, itself based on the 1897 Edmond Rostand play Cyrano de Bergerac. The film stars Peter Dinklage, Haley Bennett, Kelvin Harrison Jr., and Ben Mendelsohn. Cyrano had its world premiere at the 48th Telluride Film Festival on September 2, 2021, had a one-week theatrical run in Los Angeles on December 17, 2021, and was released in the United States and the United Kingdom on February 25, 2022. This is the last MGM's picture released before the acquisition of the studio by Amazon. The film was a box office disappointment, grossing $6.4 million on a $30 million budget. However, it received generally positive reviews, with critics praising Dinklage's and Bennett's performances and the soundtrack. It was nominated for several awards, including a Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy and Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy at the 79th Golden Globe Awards, 4 nominations at the 75th British Academy Film Awards and a Best Costume Design nod at the 94th Academy Awards. Early life. Dinklage was born on June 11, 1969, at the Jersey Shore region of New Jersey, to John Carl Dinklage, an insurance salesman, and Diane Dinklage, an elementary school music teacher. Of German and Irish descent, he grew up in the historic Brookside section of Mendham Township, with his parents and older brother, Jonathan. He is the only member of his family with achondroplasia. As a child, Dinklage and his brother performed puppet musicals for people in their neighborhood. He has described his brother Jonathan as being the real performer of the family, saying that his brother's passion for the violin was the only thing that kept him from pursuing acting. Dinklage had his first theatrical success in a 5th-grade production of The Velveteen Rabbit. Playing the lead, he was delighted by the audience's response to the show. He attended Del Barton School, a Catholic preparatory school for boys, where he developed his acting skills. In 1984, he was inspired by a production of the play True West, by American playwright Sam Shepard, to pursue an acting career. He then attended Bennington College, where he studied for a drama degree and appeared in numerous productions before graduating in 1991. He moved to New York City with his friend Ian Bell to build a theater company. Failing to pay the rent, they moved out of their apartment. He lived in New York for 20 years in Williamsburg and the West Village. He then worked at a data processing company for 6 years before pursuing a career as a full-time actor. Career. Early career. Dinklage initially struggled to find acting work, partially because he refused to take the roles typically offered to actors with his condition, such as elves or leprechauns. He made his credited film debut in the low-budget independent comedy drama Living in Oblivion, where he performed alongside Steve Buscemi. It tells the story of a director, crew, and cast filming a low-budget independent film in the middle of New York City. Dinklage's role was that of a frustrated actor with dwarfism who complains about his cliched roles. The next year, he appeared as a building manager in the crime drama Bullet starring rapper Tupac Shakur. Even after his well-received performance in Living in Oblivion, Dinklage could not find someone willing to be his agent. After a recommendation from Buscemi to director Alexander Rockwell, Dinklage was cast in the comedy 13 Moons. When later interviewed for a theater website, he was asked what his ideal role was, and he replied, the romantic lead who gets the girl. Breakthrough. Dinklage found his breakthrough playing Finbar McBride, who is a quiet, withdrawn, unmarried man in the 2003 Tom McCarthy-directed film The Station Agent. According to CO star Bobby Cannavale, the film took 3 years to make and was not at first written with Dinklage in mind. Cannavale said McCarthy set out to tell a story about a guy who was a train enthusiast who had chosen to isolate himself from the world, but when McCarthy actually started putting pen to paper for the screenplay, he decided to write the role for him. Speaking about the role, Dinklage noted that usually roles written for someone my size are a little flat, often either comical or sort of Lord of the Rings type characters filled with wisdom. Further, they're not sexual, they're not romantic, and they're not flawed. What attracted him to the character McCarthy had written was that it was not one of the stereotypical roles people with dwarfism play. Rather, McBride has romantic feelings as well as anger and flaws. The role earned him the Independent Spirit Award and Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actor nominations. In the New York Observer, reviewer Andrew Saris wrote, Dinklage projects both size and intelligence in the fascinating reticence of his face. Besides being Dinklage's highest-rated film on the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the station agent was modestly successful at the box office, earning over $8 million against its small budget. Dinklage later appeared in the direct-to-DVD film Tiptoes with Gary Oldman and Matthew McConaughey. The film met with negative reviews, particularly Oldman's role as a person with dwarfism. According to Dinklage, the original cut of the film was gorgeous, but the director was fired shortly after turning it in, and the film was recut into a rom-com with dwarfs. Speaking on the Oldman controversy, Dinklage said, "There was some flack. Why would you put Gary Oldman on his knees? That's almost like blackface. And I have my own opinions about political correctness, but I was just like, it's Gary Oldman. He can do whatever he wants, and I'm so happy to be here." That year, Dinklage also starred in several off-Broadway productions, such as Richard III. Dinklage appeared in the Christmas comedy film Elf as Miles Finch, an irritable children's author who beats up Buddy Hobbs after he mistakes him for an elf. In 2005, he starred in the short-lived CBS science fiction series Threshold and appeared as a wedding planner in the comedy film The Baxter. He also made an appearance in the adventure comedy drama Lassie as a traveling circus performer. In 2006, Dinklage co-starred with Vin Diesel in Find Me Guilty, a courtroom drama directed by Sidney Lumet. The film tells the true story of the longest mafia trial in American history. Dinklage played Ben Clandys, the lead defense attorney. Critical reaction to the film was mostly positive, though it was a commercial failure. Writing for Chicago Sun-Times, film critic Roger Ebert praised Dinklage's performance, saying that the character he plays stands apart as concise, articulate, and professional. The same year, he portrayed the character Marlowe Sawyer in episodes of Nip/Tuck. He played a fictionalized version of himself in an episode of the HBO series Entourage and appeared in NBC's 30 Rock as Stuart. The same year, Dinklage appeared in the British romantic comedy Penelope Playing Lemon, a tabloid reporter. The film received mixed reviews from critics. Dinklage appeared in the 2007 British comedy film Death at a Funeral, reprising the role in the 2010 American remake. The films tell the story of a family trying to deal with a variety of issues after the death of their father. Later in 2007, he played the villainous Simon Barr Sinister in Underdog, which was poorly received, but had some commercial success. Dinklage played Trumpkin in the 2008 film The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. The film was a box office disappointment, with global revenues of $419.7 million, and film critic Bill Gibran described Dinklage's role as a cutesy stereotype he has tried to avoid. Later that year, he played the title role in Uncle Vanya in Bard College's annual Bard Summerscape, the upstate New York summer stage on the Annandale-on-Hudson campus. In 2010, he appeared in the Australian movie I Love You Too alongside Brendan Cowell and Peter Hellier. Mainstream and critical success. I Game of Thrones / I. None. Other performances. Upcoming projects. Personal life. In 2005, Dinklage married Erica Schmidt, a theater director. They have 2 children and are private about their personal lives. Their daughter was born in 2011. A second child was born in 2017. Dinklage's face was injured in the early 1990s, when he was in a punk-funk rap band called Wizzy. It gave him a scar that runs from his neck to his eyebrow. He was playing at the nightclub CBGB in New York City, where he was accidentally kneed in the face and started bleeding on the stage. In 2008, Dinklage described himself as a lapsed Catholic. Dinklage has been a vegetarian since the age of 16. An advocate for animal rights, he supports Farm Sanctuary and has served as the spokesman for the organization's Walk for Farm Animals. He also narrated the video Face Your Food, a film on behalf of PETA advocating a vegan diet on ethical grounds. He appeared in another PETA campaign, asking Game of Thrones fans to adopt from shelters rather than to buy huskies that might look like dire wolves. In 2017, Dinklage attended the Women's March demonstration in Park City, Utah, to advocate legislation and policies regarding human rights and other issues. When asked about the news that President Donald Trump was reportedly ending the funding for national arts and humanities programs, Dinklage responded, "It's always the first to go, isn't it? Art, then education, the 2 most important things, along with climate, of course." Dwarfism. Dinklage has a form of dwarfism, achondroplasia, a genetic disorder which affects bone growth. As a result, he is 4 feet 5 inches tall, with an average-sized head and torso but shorter than average limbs. While Dinklage has come to accept his condition, he sometimes found it challenging when growing up. In 2003, he said that when he was younger he was often angry and bitter about his condition, but as he got older, he realized that he just had to have a sense of humor, to know that it's not your problem. It's theirs. When asked in 2012 whether he saw himself as a spokesman for the rights of little people, Dinklage responded, "I don't know what I would say. Everyone's different. Every person my size has a different life, a different history, different ways of dealing with it. Just because I'm seemingly okay with it, I can't preach how to be okay with it." Despite his own sentiment about the matter, Dinklage has been viewed as a role model for people sharing his condition. At the 2012 Golden Globe ceremony, when Dinklage won the award for Best Supporting Actor Series, Miniseries, or Television Film, he told the audience that he had been thinking about a gentleman, his name is Martin Henderson, and suggested that they Google his name. Henderson was a man with dwarfism from Somerset, England, who was badly injured after being tossed by a rugby fan in a bar. The speech by Dinklage brought media and public attention to the act of dwarf tossing, with Henderson's name being trended worldwide on social media. Henderson eventually died of his injuries in 2016, 5 years after the incident. Dinklage turned down offers from talk shows to discuss the topic. He later explained that 20 years earlier he might have accepted these offers, but that he's a little bit more at peace with things now, and I said what I wanted to say. I have a friend who says the world doesn't need another angry dwarf. In January 2022, Dinklage appeared on an episode of the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, in which he criticized Disney's portrayal of the Seven Dwarfs in the upcoming live-action remake of the 1937 animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He stated that Disney tried to be progressive in one way by casting a Latina actress as Snow White, but retained the damaging stereotype of the Seven Dwarfs. In response, Disney issued a statement, saying, "We are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period."